Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Buer, race number 13 at Gulfstream Park on Florida Derby Saturday is the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes. Our preview presented by DRF Bets. If you sign up for a new DRF Bets account, you will be rewarded with a $150 bonus. Just go to drf.com/join and type in the promo code TV150. Let's take a look at these turf marathoners set to go 1.5 miles for $250,000 again carded as race number 13. Mike, the number 8 Sadler's Joy, when he kicks, is one of the better turf horses in North America, and he kicked last time out in the Grade 2 McDermott, his seasonal debut.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, as far as I can tell, he kicks every time. I don't think I've ever seen a race where he didn't kick in the stretch. I mean, he's just a really strong finisher, and I have to admit, I did like the way he returned from the layoff last time. He had a lot of work to do still at the top of the stretch, but he came running and got to that field at the end.
Julien Leparoux times it just right with this horse. He doesn't want to give him too much daylight because when he makes the lead early, sometimes he hangs.
That's true.
He passed all 11, and when he turned into the stretch, he was full of run. He still had a lot of horses in front of him, and he kind of just cruised right by him. And it was yet another triple-digit Beyer speed figure performance. That's 6 in a row and 8 out of his last 9. And the one time he didn't earn the triple-digit was over yielding ground. But with a horse like this, you're always at the mercy of race and pace luck. He is a one-run closer. Let's take a look at the time form US pace projector, because the horse that he ran down last time, the number 9, One Go All Go, is expected to make the pace again. One Go All Go stretching out in the McDermott.
Yeah.
He was a little eager in the first quarter, 3 furlongs of the race, and Chris Landeros had to kind of work to throttle him down. He was game in the stretch, but do you get the feeling that that's the best he can do? Can he get away with murder in this race?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually felt like in this race, and you're right that he was hard to settle last time. In this race, I almost felt like there were a couple of horses who were going to be closer to him this time, and maybe actually make him have to work a little bit harder in this race. And we'll see how that affects him. He's also, of course, got to pick up a little bit more distance, another furlong in this race. We'll see how that affects this horse. I thought, all things considered, he ran really well last time. I just feel like it might be a little bit tougher for him this time.
We mentioned how Leparoux really fits Sadler's Joy like a glove. Jose Ortiz rides bigger picture great, like he did last time out in the Connolly, where he basically won the race in the first of 3 turns, able to get down to the inside, and then just at the right moment as they hit the backstretch, he got to the outside, split horses, and then he just let the horse do the rest. Bigger picture is just better than those kind of horses. But we know he's capable of winning races like this, and he's got Michael Maker in his corner. Here's a formulator fact over the past 5 years. Last out winning older turf routers off a moderate size layoff. It's 38% and a $3 ROI. And one of the big advantages Bigger Picture has over Sadler's Joy is his tactical speed. He'll be getting the jump on that horse turning into the stretch.
Yeah, all those things are true. This is a very dangerous horse in this race because he can get the right trip. He can get any kind of a trip in any kind of a race. And you know, the 1.5 miles, he'll get that far too. Now, he couldn't hold off Sadler's Joy at Saratoga last summer when he had all those advantages, closer to the pace, got first run on that horse, had dead aim on that field. He finished very gaming there. He just couldn't hold on at the end. But it's not going to take that much for this horse to turn the tables on him. He's very capable of doing it.
Maker also trains the number 1 Mark It Off, who finished 5th in the McDermott. I guess that pace was solid and was starting to heat up a little bit. But I thought all in all he had a pretty good trip. He sat in the pocket. He had every chance turning into the stretch, and he just wasn't good enough at 46-1. He draws an inside post. He might get a similar trip in here, but I just wonder if that was the best he could do.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was, and he's a pretty nice horse, obviously. They've bumped him up in distance for his last 2 races, and he's acquitted himself pretty well. He's probably going to have to do better than that, though.
Pollard Zalien earned a 114 Beyer speed figure in the Canadian International, mostly due to the fact that it was contested over an extremely boggy turf course. He's the kind of horse that we always say, you know, as the favorite, you really never want Pollard Zalien because he never has an edge. And in his last 2 races, he's been beaten at 6-5 and 2-1 respectively. But he's going to be a price in here. He's going to be an alternative in here, and he does have races.
That's right. That's the time that you want him, when he's the alternative, and you're probably looking at, you know, probably 3rd choice in this race. I think it maybe makes him a playable option, an alternative to the 2 favorites in this race. He's clearly good enough to win, and he can get a good trip in this race. There are things to like about this
He was
horse.
nosed by Nessie last time out in the McKnight. That horse came back to finish 3rd behind Sadler's Joy in the McDermott with a 98 Beyer. High Happy in many ways is kind of the key to this race. I'm a huge fan of this horse, and he made a return off a long layoff in the Gulfstream turf, and he just caught heart to heart on a day where there was no pace, and he chased wide throughout. I like the fact that he has a lot of try in him, and he has a lot of stamina. This stretch out in distance should not affect him. It was just odd. This is a horse that's very professional, and first time for Todd. It took him forever to change leads in the stretch, but all in all, a promising return to the races. He's dangerous.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on him being late to change leads last time. This is a dangerous horse. I'm very surprised you didn't pick him. I know you like this horse. I know that you're a little interested in him as a dirt horse, and I totally get that way of looking at him. But he's got turf form that will put him there. He's another horse. He will be closer to the pace this time. I think this horse is super dangerous.
Classic Covey's a very lightly raced horse trained by Bill Mott. He's eligible for a non-winners of 3 life, but yeah, he's earned 90 Beyer speed figures, his tops in his last 3 races. Last time out, I think he was kind of compromised by a little bit of a pace and then certainly some traffic.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. It feels like this is a really big ask for him. It's a tough spot for him. He's never been this far before, so you don't know. He is another horse who, when he's at his best, they'll just take him back and let him make one run through the stretch. I don't know how that's really going to play in here. I mean, he's going to have to outkick Sadler's Joy in this race, and that won't be easy for him to do. But I'm a fan of this horse. I think he's pretty good, and I think he still has some upside.
You're looking for a giant price with a big formulator fact, no further than the 5, Little Nick V. Take a look at this formulator fact. Past 3 years, older turf horses second off the layoff, 39%, a $7 and change return on investment. Little Nick V's making his second start off over a year layoff. But here's my problem. His race 2 starts back against Florida breds, the race preceding the layoff. He just had such a great trip, and I know Enterprising was favored that day and might just be better than Little Nick V, but I thought Little Nick V probably should have won that race. Last time out, he was up close to a fairly fast pace. He ran okay. From a pedigree standpoint, I like him stretching out, but talk about a big ass.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for this horse. And you're right about that race before the layoff. And listen, the layoff followed that race, so maybe just something happened in there, and that's his excuse. But if you can't hold off Enterprise, you're going to have a tough time holding off these horses.
Tis a Slam, the number 6, goes out for Roger Atfield. This horse was 3rd behind the Streaking Synchrony, a horse that came back to win the Muniz Memorial last week at the Fairgrounds with a 101 Beyer speed figure. I did think that Tis a Slam took advantage of a very fast pace in that race and passed some tired horses in the lane. He's a nice horse. I like him better on synth.
Yeah, distant 3rd in that race last time, too, with a pretty good trip. And I'm with you. I think he might be a better main track horse.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes. We both like Sadler's Joy. He's going to be the favorite in here, but we just think he's the best horse. All he needs is pace and trip.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are things to be concerned about when you're talking about the favorite, but it just doesn't seem like it really affects him. He runs no matter what, and as was the case last time in the Mac the Armid off the layoff, he just might be a little better than these horses.
You're going to go 8-7, 3-4. I'm going to go 8-9, 3-1 in the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes. Again, if you're playing at home, please consider DRF bets. If you sign up, you get $150. DRF.com/join. Promo code TV150. Approximate post time for the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes, race number 13 on Florida Derby Saturday at Gulfstream, 6 o'clock Eastern. Good luck.